Okay, here is my audience for today, plus my cat. I'll start. So the clip you just watched is from the 1939 film Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. It stars James Stewart in the titular role of Mr. Smith. It also stars Claude Rains and Jean Arthur. Now I want to give you a little context behind that scene, and then I also want to communicate to you why I believe it is a great example of both ethical and unethical communication. So the basic premise of the film is that James Stewart is playing Jefferson Smith, is a young and idealistic senator who is called in to fill a vacancy within the Senate. And in that scene, he is performing a filibuster to delay a bill that is being headlined by this corrupt coalition of politicians and businessmen working together. And the movie was actually loosely based off the life of Montana Senator Burton Wheeler, who at the time was investigating the Warren Harding administration. So in this scene, we have two different approaches to communication between the very idealistic Jefferson Smith and then the senators. So Jefferson Smith uses ethical and emotional appeals. He's appealing to the senator's better nature. He also encourages American citizens to look out for one another. He has a very kind of naive perspective on these cultural values, but he still is very passionate about enforcing those, like, he's kind of like a Boy Scout almost. He has these ideas of like freedom and integrity and very traditional, cultural values. And at the end, he is promoting unity and education within American youth. While the senators instead have a different approach. They derogate and deride Smith's character in the scene using ad hominem. They also employ ad hominem, and they use misleading language to almost try and trick him into ending his filibuster, which will get him expelled from the Senate afterwards. So the film is in this scene are very championing like the power of one person and ethical communication and freedom of speech, which were not very popular ideas at the time in 1939 when it was released, especially over in Europe. So the film was actually banned in Hitler's Germany, it was banned in Franco's Spain, and it was banned in Mussolini's Italy. Funnily enough, it was allowed to play in communist Russia at the time, though it was heavily edited to kind of distort the message of the film. But meanwhile, in the States, there was actually quite a bit of harsh reception toward the film, especially from the media and the government, as they felt that they were not put in a particularly flattering light by the film. So the Washington Post and a kind of coalition of politicians also tried to get the film banned from American theaters. However, it's kind of endured as this example of a whistleblower film. It's a film about ethical communication too. And in 1989, it was inducted into the United States National Film Registry for its cultural, historical, and aesthetic significance. And probably the most famous scene of the film is the Jefferson Smith's culminating speech. It's a speech about lost causes. And I chose this scene that you just watched instead of that scene because this scene has examples of both ethical approach to communication with Jefferson Smith and an unethical approach to communication with the senators. So thanks.